Hello, I'm Brigantia of Blackbird of Blackbird's Brew. Happy Saturday. Welcome to this week's Loki video. We're going to be revisiting how he is portrayed in modern fiction again, this time as he is cast as a romantic hero. The book is called Loki by J.C. Andrzejewski, and it's book 2 of 3 of the Gods on Earth trilogy, in which Thor, Loki, and Tyr find love with mortal women in a variety of interesting and unexpected ways. The trilogy is a collection of romances, and the cuddly bits are a bit explicit, so if that's something that is going to upset or offend you, you are forewarned, so don't blame me if you read it anyway and get offended. With that said, let's talk about Loki's part in this story. So in this series, the author did take some liberties with the Norse family tree. Loki, Thor, and Tyr are all brothers, and Odin and Frigga are their parents. The reason why Thor and Tyr are on Earth is because Loki ran off with one of the family jewels, which just happened to be a relic that would allow an Asgardian to live on Earth without the knowledge of Odin or any other god, amongst other shenanigans that Loki had been up to this point. Thor and Tyr are supposed to bring Loki back to Asgard to face their father, who's more than a little cross with Loki at the time. But Loki is footloose and fancy-free. He's having a good laugh at the god's expense, and he's busily congratulating himself on swiping this wonderful ring, and then it gets stolen from him by a human woman. So enter the love interest. The thief is an attractive young woman named Leah. In addition to being skilled at lifting other people's property and information, Loki soon discovers that her employer was swindled by Leah's mother, and then her mother then disappeared with a whole bunch of money. The employer then insisted that Leah work for him by stealing information to pay off her mother's debts, and he is also holding her 12-year-old sister hostage to ensure Leah's cooperation. Loki finds himself just enchanted by Leah, enchanted, annoyed, and just delighted with her. He decides he's going to help her out of her predicament and also proceeds to seduce her, and he discovers during this process that he is getting emotionally attached to her. So, in between rescuing her sister, getting her employer out of the picture, and evading his brothers, Loki is pressing his suit to persuade Leah to accept him on a permanent basis. During the story, we watch Loki switch from the mode of a fugitive trying to avoid pesky relatives to the romantic hero, the prospective husband to Leah, and the de facto stepfather to Leah's little sister. Just as a story, the book is a really fun adventure, and it is exciting to read. Now, I think the author got certain personality traits right on the nose where Loki is concerned. First, as a plotter and a schemer who is endlessly adaptable, which is consistent from Loki as we know him from the lore, and it can be attested to by his modern-day devotees. That is very him. Being very zealous and driven. Once Loki makes up his mind, he applies the force and strength of a tornado to see the project through to completion, also very consistent with his character. Being deeply committed to the person when he cares about them. For all of Loki's chaos, he doesn't have a flighty heart, not in the novel and not towards his followers. So it's really unsurprising that modern writers would think of Loki and borrow his name, his traits, a little bit of his mythos here and there, and then cast him as the leading man in a romance. There's a tendency amongst many women to feel an attraction to men who are untamed and wild in some way. Men who are a law unto themselves, who blaze their own trail, all of which is very, very Lokian. So be it god, man, or fictional character, there is something reassuring about a male who rallies when things go wrong, or if a plan fails and then he's able to adapt and overcome. It feeds into the innate desire for security in women, and that makes the uncertainties of life feel less threatening. So don't underestimate how psychologically powerful it is. Also, the fact that both as a character and as a god, Loki has very independent judgment. Instead of worrying about completely fitting in with the crowd or needing a crowd to feed his confidence, if you look into the description of the archetype of the Sigma male, you'll notice that there are some commonalities that Loki has with the Sigma, most prominently the tendency towards self-reliance. A self-reliant man who doesn't bend the knee to peer pressure is something many women look for in a potential partner, because he would be more reliable, even if he's unpredictable to those who he might feel antagonistic towards. So obviously fiction does not replace our lore, and I would never suggest holding fiction in the same regard as our myths. However, it does serve the purpose of keeping the name of Loki and the name of all of the gods alive and in the public's consciousness. I don't think that the gods ever abandoned humanity, and I don't think they ever lost interest in our affairs. It's just a question of whether or not we as humans are keeping our minds and our hearts open to the gods, whether or not we are seeking them back. Now, while popular fiction can't necessarily disseminate useful spiritual insights to us, it can serve as a vessel to open up people's minds and to pique their curiosity about the gods. And this is what has real value, because that curiosity inspires investigation. And through investigation, people oftentimes find out what spiritual circle they belong to. You can never tell what's going to be the first step in a journey to the gods, and if popular fiction is occasionally a jumping off point, then so be it. It serves a higher purpose, even if the intent of the story was just to entertain. So, if you're in for just kind of a fun, fast read for this weekend, I highly recommend this book. If you are just a Loki enthusiast or a Loki devotee, I would be curious to hear your own impressions about this book if you happen to read it. You can do so by visiting me at Blackbird's Brew on Discord. There's a link to join in the description box below, or by leaving a comment here on the channel, which I hope you're subscribed to. And of course, please like the video. I will see you in the next one. Bye.